Back here in the Lake Mead, middle April now. During a cooler spell. It's not that much greener out here yet. See what happens. Annuals are still dead and dreaming, just like everywhere else in the Mojave, seemingly. But this goal is a Black Mountains traverse. Not a big range, less than 15 miles bird's flight length, and it should only take a couple of nights, and it should be rather scenic, even if the plant life isn't quite as interesting as I would hope it to be. Nonetheless, I do expect to encounter gypsum endemics in flower this time, which is exciting to me, and hopefully we'll find a few other interesting things along the way. Have not seen an annual yet. Entrance into the Black Mountains here, the core of it at least. Some of that stuff undulates off to Las Vegas, but not really marked as Black Mountains on maps. The formation ahead of me is. We can already see all the pretty red and gypsum as well. Some teal stuff over there marking the gypsum. Rather dismayed by how dead everything is. Dead as dreams. I mean, we documented these things leafing out a couple months ago. Ambrosia dumosa was starting to leaf out in February. Now in middle April, they never developed their leaves or lost the rudiments that were coming in. I'm baffled and disappointed, to be certain. The only thing green I'm really seeing is the occasional creosote. Most of them are brown though. Look at that, even Bebby is brown for the most part. And then the Senegalias are leafing out with their emerald leaves somehow. See what else happens, but it's not looking good here in the Black Mountains. We're gonna see some nice things nonetheless, aren't we? Found them again. The Arctomicon is not looking good at all. Probably going away for the season, huh? And Coleopsis, there's a couple of them flowering up there. I'm sure we'll see some up close soon though. It's almost as if they melted away. A lot of the Coleopsis is looking pretty poor. Some of them are even looking dead for the year. I see a lot of them flowering up there. Bright yellows up high. Member of the poppy family. Got 6 showy petals and no sepals. Common in the poppy family to have caducous sepals, 2 of them that are shed early. So before they're open and expanded, they fall off. Early deciduous, another way to think of it. Numerous stamens. I don't mess with them too much. This is a federally listed species. People call it bear poppy, I think. Look how grizzled those leaves are. They don't hurt though. More soft and furry than unpleasant. No fresh capsules yet though. There's an old capsule. Split from multiple points at the apex, the poppy family. Maybe we'll see that some other time, or on some other individuals up there or elsewhere. It's a thriving in Coleopsis. Sent out one head this year so far. Looks pretty shriveled and not good condition. Wonder if it'll send up any more this year, if it's struggling like everyone else out here. Still got Lepidium fremontii here. Doesn't care that much if it's on gypsum or not. Call it a canyon generalist of the lower Mojave. Some Gypsophiles, barren slopes that we've come to expect to find it upon. Some other little interesting stuff, maybe some Physalis. Baby Sorothamnus there, trying to eke out a living on the gypsum. I feel like I've been seeing Eriogonum inflatum in leaf all season. It's still in leaf somehow. So I wonder if these gypsum endemics, being some of the only species to flower out here this season, I wonder if they have better years when there's not so much competition from other things to pollinate them. Meaning, do pollinators, as few as they may be, they're not doing too well either. Nothing's doing too well. I feel quite bad for all the animal mortality that's undoubtedly happening or about to happen this year. Look, there's nothing fresh to eat. But the few things that are flowering, I wonder if they do very well in such years. There are still pollinators out there, still flies out there, still moths, occasional butterfly. If there was more Prunus fasciculata here, there'd be tons of butterflies, I think. Wonder if anything can eat Sorothamnus leaves. Probably something. But yeah. Brightest things out here by far are the poppies and Coleopsis. Look how amazing and, quite frankly, adorable they are when they're babies. Jeez, what a tough start to life. Although some ecologists would argue that it's not tough for them, they're well adapted to this place. That is true, but that doesn't mean they don't have a tough time out here. As we just saw by all those dead and shriveled ones, it's not like they're well adapted to thrive every year out here. I mean, yeah, creosote bush extremely well adapted to the Mojave and other North American deserts, but man, would you say it's having a good year right now? And they're more brown than green. And it's not even summer yet. When you look at a hillside of creosote this year, it looks brown indeed. Not the mild olive green we'd rather see. Ambrosia, extremely well adapted to life in the Mojave Desert. Is it having a good time this year? No, it's not. Atriplex hymenelytra, which we saw near Ash Meadows, also apparently doesn't care about gypsum or not. Because there it is thriving in gypsum. And we've also seen it, of course, thriving on non-gypsum pavements. Used to be a road system up here that I tried to park on. Closed now. And it seems to be for the best. So I wonder if they did not close it off to protect the high concentrations of threatened species occurring here. And I have this place of high scenic value all to myself, consequently. It's a very special astragalus, these parts. Just starting to green out, huh? I don't know the name off the top of my head, but definitely a gypsum endemic. Here's a gypsum endemic Phacelia. I'd see it. Wow. Because the other ones I saw were skeletons. This thing's about 1 meter tall. Smelly, sticky, like most Phacelia. An ecosystem unto itself. I just saw a spider. There's a lot of pollinators here. And this lone individual. They're so conspicuous, but I don't see any more. This one already flowered, so hopefully I'll see more. See those legumes developing. Astragalus is well known as a heavy metal accumulator, and that causes, or facilitates rather, a lot of endemism in the genus on many different metal-rich substrates, such as selenium. And when I just stuck my hand in the gypsum soil, if you want to call it soil, it smelled like an astragalus. It smelled metal rich, my hand. So these substrates are quite toxic to most other plants. Most other plants cannot tolerate the heavy metals. Now that's improbable. That's a moss mat on a north-facing gypsum slope. It's actually looking in decent shape, huh? Last rained, 3-4 weeks ago? Quite a special place on Earth. These protected Lake Mead areas, not only red badlands, but a very special, unique flora, eking out a living in extraordinarily harsh place. No rain coming here, but the clouds are welcome. It's a little bit warm, about 80 degrees. It's a very fine place. Since the Black Mountains don't really have a continuous ridge system, I'm just going up and down at leisure where I can. Not really trying to summit any peaks today. I'll save the interesting upper class 3, class 4 peaks in this area for better spring days with lots of annuals around. This is just the Black Mountains traverse through the Black Mountain system and its higher valleys on its higher ridges. Geez, it's a very scenic area. Quite stunning. These are indeed the Black Mountains. Seemingly random bumps and valleys. Culminates over there on its eastern end in the Cathedral Peaks region. That's where we're headed. Reminiscent of Valley of Fire State Park, if anyone's been there. It's been a while for me, nearly 10 years ago now, but there's a good spring once again. Very much looking forward to returning to Valley of Fire too. Muddy Mountains, etc. Oh man, look at all that beautiful gypsum. Beautiful atroplex. Goodness gracious. Wonder why there don't seem to be any yuccas on the north shore of Lake Mead. Not Shadidra, not brevifolia. Alright, I just found some tamaricks in a wild place, so I'm gonna take my pack off and get to work here. Must be simply too dry, the north shore, to support yuccas. Those are rather tall arborescent forms, and they probably need a bit more moisture than falls here in the atroplex pavement. These most barren gypsum soils. Even the washes are barren. It's just like some sheetrock, huh? It's just as soft. Very few rock types you can just scratch and make an impact. Sheetrock. I've been wondering why scarcely find, even the most expected thing, the Kosiana here. I finally run into it. Man, one of the only things flowering though. It's expected a lot more going on than this. We still got interesting skeletons. Celia. Lots of Pusophyllum, which is pretty cool. You don't see that common. Some incipient Lepidium, it looks like. I got the tamaracks to battle now. Just found some modern art. It's weird, there's a benchmark here and everything. Looks like a tradition among some government officials to mark this wall up. Let me get closer. Someone from the USGS, for example, in the 50s. We got a visitor from the future, Tony Krieger. Unless that means 1922. It could. Since most of this stuff is from the 50s and 70s, though. More likely to be a visitor from the future, don't you think? Rather pleased that there are no more roads in the Painted Valley, because this is suddenly one of my more favorite places in the state. Entire south side of that peak is composed of gypsum hills. That's quite incredible. There's probably a lot of special plants in there. Gotta come back another day though, because there's a lot worth coming back for. Don't tell anyone though, okay? No trails, no roads, equals no people somehow. This incredible place. Oh, all those south slopes of Pinto Ridge are a different color gypsum. Man, a lot to look for in a good year. First Sincelia I've seen today. Flowering and looking good, that is. Some of them are just photosynthesizing. Got some beautiful rock nettle in the middle of the wash all of a sudden too. Looking quite beautiful indeed, the new growth. It's almost fluorescent. Doesn't quite hurt, but it's not the most pleasant touch either. Stinks to get some on your climbing ropes too. Most members of the lowest AC are at least somewhat sticky to the touch like this. Some of them are painful too. That one's not quite painful though, just unpleasant. Need better tools for this one. One of the main problems with that thing, besides that it sucks up a lot of water, is that it probably not palatable to many things, because it's got a lot of salt in its tissues. So native herbivores can't even do much with it. Doesn't provide great habitat for birds either, from what I can tell. Maybe some of the bigger trees really lower down. It's a different species though. Never seen that species this high up. Some very green mesquites. Probably the greenest thing I've seen all day. Wow. Look at this. Salt spring. Salt cedar. It's the lushest place I've come to today by far. Got Coeliopsis up there too, nice. Haven't seen that for a while actually. Beautiful Sorothamnus coming out. And Tamarix. Lots of it coming back. Or adventive, not sure. Good friend Plukia. Very lush indeed. I wonder what it tastes like, but I'm not going to do it. You know? Cooler days of April are spectacular for this place. Not sure I'd want to be here too much into May though. Gypsophyllum forest. Holy crap. I bet I know what's going on with the disappearance of the ambrosia leaves. Maybe animals desperately ate them this year. Because I'm still seeing a lot of life, but not a lot of plant life. Except for the super inedible stuff like creosote. I don't know. Mixture of lack of precip, animal boom from last year from all the precip last winter, spring. Now they're desperately eating everything that does try to come out. Most things just aren't coming out at all, of course. Sure is pretty though. Far too rugged to traverse up there, up close. Looks pretty cool though, and I'm nicely set up for that. So I'll probably try that out. Even though there's probably not much going on up there. Give me a better view of the Black Mountains anyway, and better understand its nature, its composition, because I'm confused. Only climbing individual peaks is practical, seems like. See a lot of rotten sections like that, and far worse that we're not seeing right now. I think each of these summits looks fairly worthy of a return. along the base. Gonna turn around soon and walk through more gypsum. Probably walk into a ridge up there. Some phenomenal views, surely. Here's some more evidence of why I'm not sticking to the crest, though, or what serves as a crest. On the edge of the Painted Valley now. It's a small distance ahead before I pick up some supplies. Turn back that way. Kind of sad right here. The Coeliopsis is being eaten by desperate creatures. Little else to eat. So although I expected to find a lot of it flowering, it's simply not. Because the animals are desperate. Although in the washes, we have a lot of other leaves to choose from, and the wetter drainages. Another perennial poppy starting to leaf out though, Argemone. Thought it was a thistle at first. There's a pretty healthy one. Something like Encelia, huh? But it's a bit more yellow-orange. Blend in pretty well on the Sorothamnus. When it's in leaf, that is. Here's a better looking one. Rays are longer and look a lot better than that previous one we looked at. Looks like someone is chomping away some of the new flowers. I've been seeing a lot of herbivory on these, despite the gypsum rich accumulation in the tissues. This is Coeliopsis argophyllum. Looking quite nice. Poppies are experiencing less herbivory in the Coeliopsis since they're poppies, and less palatable in general than other lineages. Here's some Coeliopsis that managed to make it to maturity. Hopefully. They can still be eaten before they go to fruit, of course. But this one was spared for some reason. Trying to gain the ridge right now via this minor wash. Only annuals I've seen today, by the way, are predictably so. Bromus tectorum and Bromus mudritensis, the two most pernicious bromes here. But I can't say there are a lot of them. Found some greening up in the washes, primarily. And I'm sure they'll be eaten before they can go to seed this year. Not like there's not plenty of seeds in the seed bank still, but gotta consider the positives sometimes. Because there's a lot of hungry animals out there, and some of them are quite large. Horses and bighorns, namely. Fertins, too, exist in the Lake Mead. They're quite died back this year. Those are the Gypsum Hills where we first started seeing those things above Echo Bay. Pinto Ridge. Fairly straightforward walk, I think it's going to turn out to be. So over there, essentially. I'll be up here tonight. Wish me luck finding somewhere flat out of the wind. It looks flatter from below. Gotta say, Lake Mead is yet another world-class place right next to Las Vegas, along with the Spring Mountains, of course. Sure is windy up here. That's a more continuous Black Mountains system again. Wash in between the mountains, such as they're called. Thus, this place does not form one continuous ridgeline that can be traversed. Here's much of the remainder of the trek. Just topped out on Pinto Ridge there. We're higher than a lot of the so-called Black Mountains proper. Still on the ridge, but it's ending soon. It's starting to meet up with the valley bottom elevations, as you can see. Even some gypsum on top of the ridge sometimes. Only in Coleopsis up here. Those guys. We'll probably end up dropping in constant some more. Right ahead there. Here's our beauties again. Kind of in more of a sandstone now than gypsum. Almost, arborescent. That massive woody stalk. Haven't seen one of these before. We're still not seeing one, but here's a desert tortoise shell. See the old rudiments of the legs perhaps there. Usually start getting impatient towards the end of a trip, but this place is so beautiful that I'm doing just fine. A rare glimpse into the layers of gypsum. Girls don't seem bothered by my presence at all. There's a third one back there too. Fourth one. They're all looking at me. Here's the father, presumably. Quite a leap and a bound up that crap. Ooh, look at that. It's eating the Senegalia. It's taking advantage of that nice bright green stuff. Hopped away from me just to have a little snack, huh? Now just ignoring me. This is the closest I've ever been to one in Nevada. They can be quite tame in Colorado, especially in like Waterton Canyon and such, where you can just walk by them and they won't pay you much notice. This is a wild place though in the Lake Mead. So very strange that he is not that concerned with me. Although he seems to have noticed that I'm still here now. I'm still interested in him. Nope, back to Signigalia. Yummy beans. So, based on my observations this trip and previous trips, Enceliopsis is the least picky of the endemics. It can thrive on these eroded sandstones, also known as sand. And I even saw it on some borderline limestone substrata up higher. I won't find it on the just the usual flats like here, but I didn't see any Arctomicon up there or here. Celias are few and far between, though when they are around they're very visible and tend to be locally common. And the astragali really don't make it around as much as the others at all. I only saw them in one general area this trip and one other general area on a previous trip. There's some other cool stuff. I haven't quite figured out everything that's endemic to the gypsum yet. There may be a Sathrodes that I may have seen on a previous trip. And in a good year, may even be some annuals that I'm not aware of, so definitely a place these Black Mountains worth coming back to during a better year. I think I'm pretty much done with Lake Mead for the year. Rattlesnakes will be out soon. The temps will be increasing tomorrow again. And it's even going to be in the 80s here today, so I'm hoping to get out soon before it becomes too warm. And may go back to Spirit Mountain again, but otherwise this place isn't really worth much botanizing this year, as we've learned together.